This morning's news conference is a recap of the robbery and officer-involved shooting that occurred last night, Sunday at 8:34 p.m. The convenience store located at 10203 Lem Turner Road was robbed at gunpoint. Approximately 10 to 15 minutes later, officers were patrolling the area looking for the suspect when they observed Jarmel Cosby walking east on Broward Road. Officers identified themselves and the suspect fled between the houses in the 2300 block of Broward Road. Officer Crawford pursued the suspect on foot and observed a gun in the suspect's hand. Cosby attempted to jump a fence in between the houses and he fell. When he fell, the gun came out of his hand. Officer Crawford ordered him not to move and not to reach for the gun. Unfortunately, Mr. Cosby reached for the gun and Officer Crawford was forced to shoot him. A total of 3 shots were fired by Officer Crawford. This firearm, a 25 caliber Raven, was recovered at the scene from Cosby. It had 5 rounds in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. Video surveillance obtained from the store that was robbed confirmed that Cosby was in fact the robber. The black ski mask he was wearing during the robbery was found in his backpack at the scene. That's all I have.
Can you explain for people who don't understand how it works, why you guys shoot to stop the threat and that sort of thing?
Well, Mr. Cosby committed a very serious crime when he robbed the clerk at the store at gunpoint. And when he was armed with a firearm when the police confronted him, and then he reached for the firearm after he dropped it when the officers were ordering him not to, he put the officers' lives and other people's lives that live in that area. He did not live in those houses where he was running in between. And unfortunately, at times like that, officers are forced to make that decision of protecting our lives and the lives of others.
Thank you.
Did he reach the gun, Cosby? Did he grab the gun? Do you know, or he was reaching for it? You don't know if he...
We're interviewing all of the witnesses and the witness officers, but it appears at this time that he did grab the gun.
Were there were other witnesses or other people around?
There were 3 officers that were pursuing. Okay. There were 3 officers in the vehicle. The driver was not out of the car when the shooting happened, is my understanding. The 2 officers that chased him on foot, one went to one side of the privacy fence and Crawford went to the other side of the privacy fence. And then there are the homeowners that live in the 2 houses that this occurred.
Did they see something, the homeowners? Did they see anything?
I'm not exactly sure. I haven't read their statements yet.
Okay. It says here there's a task force assignment?
Yes. Zones, the zone commanders, and this is Zone 6, which is the north side, have personnel that at times they will take out of the regular beat assignment to patrol certain areas where they've had high crime incidents or maybe a rash of burglaries, auto burglaries or something like that. And they usually don't respond to calls for service. Traditionally, they're more geared towards targeting a specific crime threat, but they're also available to respond to high priority calls like this would be a priority 1 call on an armed robbery at a business.
So they weren't related. I mean, the task force wasn't looking for somebody who was robbing convenience stores.
No, it appears that they were in the area when the alert went out that there had been a robbery, and so they were patrolling the area in an unmarked car, looking for the suspect when they happened upon Mr. Cosby.
Okay.
Officer Crawford on leave?
Yes, he's on administrative leave, which is what we do in situations like this.
Any other questions?
Could you speak a little bit more about the actual robbery? Did he put anybody's life in danger in the convenience store or anything like that? Did he point the gun at anyone? Or?
Yes, my understanding is that he came into the store with a firearm drawn, and there was a clerk inside that store that was a victim of that robbery.
He pointed it at her head, I'm guessing, or
I don't know if the clerk was a male or a female, but he did have the gun pointed at the clerk when the robbery occurred.
Any customers inside at the time?
I'm not sure about that. I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
And he was alone in this robbery. He doesn't have an accomplice. There was nobody else.
The video only shows him as the only robber in the store.
Any other questions?
So you believe he was working alone then?
I believe so, yes. No other reason to believe that there was anyone with him. There was no one seen on the video other than him, and at the time the officers stopped him on Broward Road, he was the only person around.
Is there anything else you'd like to say just about how dangerous this individual seemed and to all the people living in that area and to the convenience store clerk? I know we've seen a lot of cases lately where that thing has happened and the clerk has died or at least been shot. Is there anything else that you can say about the
I mean, I don't think that neighborhood is an unsafe neighborhood. I think, crime happens where people take advantage of opportunities. And, it's dark. It gets dark earlier now. And I think he took advantage of that situation, and fortunately, no innocent bystanders were harmed in this.
What kind of gun is that again?
It's a 25 caliber Raven.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.